Wow, welcome to the old shed. Just a couple of things today, just a quick heads up, courtesy of my mate Mark. Picked up a couple of old beasties, just thought I'd kind of introduce them, and the first one is a 1960s EKO or Echo, whichever you want to call it, and this is a sort of an very early version of their, went on to become their sort of flagship Echo Ranger 12 and Ranger 6 series. So these were sort of budget priced acoustics made in Italy, and they have an interesting construction. They've got a 3-piece neck with a truss rod in it. They're actually quite flat profile necks, so they're quite nice to play, nice feel to them. But what's interesting about them is they come with a bolt-on neck arrangement, which makes shimming and tweaking things a hell of a lot easier. Another innovation that was kind of the era, but I really enjoy seeing, is the 0 fret with a nut whose purpose is only to space the strings, and this is an aluminium one, or aluminum one, and it could be that it's actually a bit worn out now, but it may still do the job. But the nut basically spaces the strings horizontally across the fingerboard, and then the nut, the 0 fret, does the job of setting the height. And the 0 fret is usually bigger than the rest of the frets in this on the neck, so it's a bigger gauge to give it a little bit of lift. But that sets a really good first fret action. Now, what you've got is it's familiar neck. It's made of this, I don't even know what the wood is, but it's a really nice striped kind of grain wood, which is familiar with all the up to the 70s and early 80s EKOs or Echoes. But this one's different in that it doesn't have the big batwing shaped thing. It does have the same kind of bridge, in which you'd find seated an aluminium housed adjustable saddle with 2 little screws that go up and down, and it's really useful because as a kind of student or whatever with your new budget guitar, to be able to raise and lower your action yourself was an incredible thing to be able to do. Now this is different from the Echoes that I've seen before for the reason of this thing here. Now most Echoes, when you look at them of this age, the first thing you notice, especially in the UK, a guitar of this age would be bellied, so the sort of humid, the wood would have picked up humidity over the years, but also with the excessive string loading, this bridge's tendency is to pull upwards and forwards. So if it pulls upwards as far as it can go whilst pulling up the swelling top of the guitar, if there's a lot of humidity around, and the two rise together, so you get a higher action, a tipping forward bridge, but a kind of bulge behind there, whereas it pulls the top out of shape. First thing I noticed on this one is looking across it, it's dead flat, which is kind of unheard of. Now obviously it's not under string loading, so you might think, okay, it might look different under string loading. And I kind of, obviously it's got this sort of more of a jazz style string fixing device here, which bolts to the or screws to the end of the guitar. So I took a quick look at this and I thought, well, you know, I do like it for sentimental reasons. You know, it's kind of intact, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with it. It's got some dents and a bit of a splitting top, and there's nothing in this that really would prevent it from playing again. But these things, you can pick the 12 strings up but you know, there's loads of them around and you can pick them up for almost nothing really. So there's nothing in it financially for setting this up or fixing this up to do something with it. And I kind of put it aside, and you know, I was grateful to Mark for giving it to me, because I thought, well, maybe over time I'll maybe do something with it eventually. But then I thought about it when I kind of looked at the picture of it. I thought a bit longer about it, and the thing that really struck me is this is a really smart design, because guitars of this age, what you tend to find is, because the top's a bulge, eventually the bridge kind of separates from the top and it pivots around this front edge. Basically that becomes the fulcrum here, and it goes until it snaps off, and then you have to pull it all off, hopefully find a way to flatten this out by maybe dehumidifying it and then glue this down. But this struck me as a really elegant thing, because what they've done cleverly, and I really like EKO for the smartness of these designs. They weren't the greatest sounding things in the world, but they really thought this thing through with the 0 fret, the adjustable bridge, the bolt-on neck. 3 fantastic little innovations that make them, I mean, it's kind of why there's still so many of them around. But this little bit extra is brilliant, because what this does is, instead of putting all the string load onto pulling the bridge forward and upwards, right, which is essentially what the string loading does on a normal 12-string acoustic with a bridge glued to the top. It's pulling it this way, and if it can't get it that way, it's going to pull it that way. All right. So eventually, it's a longitudinal force which translates a bit into a vertical force, but ultimately it's that way and that way, so up and that way. And really, what you want is the strings to be pushing down onto the top. More than anything else, on any acoustic guitar, it's so much better, like the old arch tops. You want the strings doing nothing at this point but pushing down, and of course you don't get that with this kind of bridge. It's pulling that way, and there's a little bit of downward force on the saddle, you know, just by nature of how high the saddle sits up. Now this here takes all the load, all the longitudinal load off the bridge, so suddenly the strings are no longer pulling the bridge this way, they're pulling this thing, and that translates the force into, first of all, a curve, right, which has a problem, I don't know, maybe it has a block, a bit of a block here, must have one to fit these screws into. So there's a bit of a structural block here. But even if there wasn't that much of a block, the force, the longitudinal force going this way, is being pulled against a curve, which is quite a strong shape for spreading loads anyway. So all the longitudinal pull of the strings goes into this end of the guitar, which is very, very difficult to deform in any kind of way. I mean, it's because it's formed, it's also a curve, it's also got bracing and so on. So you're almost going to get no squishing. This guitar isn't going to compress any, whereas we know that the strings are strong enough to pull the bridge upwards and buckle the top. So smart move number 1, translate all the string load into a longitudinal force going through the body. Smart echo. Then what that gives you is, well, as the strings run over the saddle, that gives you nothing acting on this bridge except what you want, which is a downward force. So the strings pressing on the saddle press downwards on the top to translate the vibrations into vibrating the wood. Now, what a brilliant, simple design. And of course, it's no surprise that all the arch tops of old were basically made this way. And then they stuck pickups on them, and then they tried different things, and then they made them solid body, and away we went. But that's what struck me first of all. Look how flat that is. I haven't seen one of those here for a long time. Everything's been bulged, buckled. So having seen that, made me feel a lot different about this guitar, because I think this is worth finding some tuners, refretting it with some new wire, cleaning up the fingerboard, maybe repairing some of these scratchy edge dings. You know, they're not easy to do, but maybe just fill them over time with some lacquer and just let them sort of fill out a little bit. And apart from that, there's no reason why this thing shouldn't play again and give it a clean up. Just because it deserves to. It's a smartly designed guitar. There you go. So you can see I'm pleased with that. Where shall I try and hang it? Let's not hang it anywhere. Let's just lean it here for a minute. So that's a surprise for me. I thought that was going to be a kind of candidate for the bin, really. Now here's the other one that came my way. This is the BC Rich bronze Warlock, no, I don't know what it is, bronze series guitar. And again, this is another one that's been languishing. Ooh, somebody covered a huge hole in the back where the strap button used to be with a piece of black tape. Anyway, so what we've got here is this tired, unloved old BC Rich thing, and it's down to 4 strings at the moment, and somewhere along the way it's been dropped and it's split the neck, or split the fingerboard off the neck, and somebody's glued it back on, which is fine. I mean, no big deal there. Interestingly, the scarf joint that some people hate so much hasn't suffered at all. That's remained completely intact, while in fact the break has occurred through the fingerboard and down along the join of the fingerboard and the maple neck, which is kind of good, you know, it's a good, what's the word, testament to the strength of that scarf joint. So we have a sort of slab of a body, BC Rich, with a serial number on the back. It's actually, you know, tired, a little bit battered and chipped here and there, but it's mainly dirty, and it's got a simple one-piece wraparound bridge on it. And actually there's no reason why this guitar shouldn't play. So the first thing I want to do, just for fun, is try it out. But the plan here is not, there's one of two things that can happen to this guitar. One is that it will clean up and I can make it generally fun to play, and you know, we might sell it on to a beginner or somebody who likes this kind of thing at a very decent, reasonable price. Or if that's not likely, what I'm looking at is this neck is a nice sort of usable replacement neck. So amazingly it works. Just check this the right wires. Yep. Yep. Any switches there? No. Ooh, no, the knob just comes right off. Lovely. Knackered. Well, tired. So there we are. BC Rich. Bronzy thing. Not worth too many beans in second-hand value at all. But I'm not the sort of chap who's going to let an old guitar just die like this. There's no reason why that's got to go in the burner. The neck itself, 24 fret neck by the looks of it, with this double octave thing, and it's actually, you know, quite a nice slim, another nice slim maple thing. Now I wouldn't mind stripping that all off, refretting it and reusing it, and of course with the BC headstock I've got quite a lot of room there for any kind of shape that I want to use, but there's a really nice thin profile down here, so eminently useful for me, if only for the neck. And then we've got a set of pickups, then we've got a wraparound bridge, then we've got a switch and some knobs, you know, so it's not a bad thing at all. But I think what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take the strings off now and start the process of taking it apart. But now for that I might get this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat this neck as though I'm going to reuse it for my own purposes. So I'll probably kind of take it off and begin the process of stripping it down into a, you know, reusable neck. Because even if I were to sell this as a kind of an average start, you know, or a nicely set up but road-worn starter guitar, God, these strings are filthy, I would still want the neck to be right home aboutable. You know, that's the key thing for me, is I want somebody to play it and go, wow, I can't put this down, even though on paper it's worth peanuts, which of course it is. So off comes the filthy old neck. So much grime. Just a quick look down here, nothing, I say, nothing immediately stands out, nothing falling off, it's all just tired. I've got some strings to snip up into my spare metal department. The tuners are very cheap. Oh yeah, look, it says bronze series on the top there. I'm so clever. I'm going to pull off all the bits, some leftover things, knobs, posts, and just you know, basically clean the whole thing up as if I was going to put it back together again and play the hell out of it. And I will, whether it's the guitar on its own or the neck, the whole guitar, or just the neck. So it's gonna get re-loved, basically. I suppose the simplest way of putting it. Because it's satisfying to do it. That's the main reason for it. There you go. Look. I mean, very budget, very usable, very absolutely adequate. Does exactly what it needs to do. So let's take off a few things, including the neck. So yeah, this is going to be treated with respect. I suppose I could have taken some pictures of it, close-up shots, before I go. Actually, maybe I should, because it's always one of those things that you regret not having taken pictures when you come back to it. It's muchly mucky. Warlock. Didn't actually work, that one. Sorry about this. Right, down the neck. Filthy old body. Oh, the grime, the horror of the grime. I don't even know what these pickups are like, but I guess they're... Is that a crack? It's a crack of some sort, a very, very slight crack. Well, I investigate. I guess the thing's sort of geared towards metal playing or heavy rock, so I don't know. Never heard it, but it's a nice profile neck. Could be useful. Nice big hole where there used to be the strap button. Anyway, this is just a little sort of interlude, kind of tied up with different aspects of life at the moment, so plenty on, quite a lot of health stuff going on. So Claire and I, and particularly Claire, she's got another big operation coming up in, I guess in about a month's time now, just within the month, so we're sort of getting ready for that, and that's going to be a big spine fusion type thing, so it's going to be quite a mega thing, but you know, fingers crossed it's going to give her some mobility and a bit of quality of life back, which she hasn't had for a good couple of years now. Might sort of just coincide it with the spring coming and the weather improving, so kind of really hoping that she can get out and enjoy some countryside fresh air. She's been very homebound recently. And on top of that, as I mentioned in a previous video, my mum's been through surgery, or through a diagnosis of cancer, and then she's been in for surgery. They removed tumours from her colon and her liver. But she's kind of back home and recovering what appears to be really well, so she's looking good. And she seems quite upbeat and everything, so again, as always, in awe of the health service that we've had such great care from. I know it's not perfect in all parts of the UK, and I know that in some areas like central London and bigger cities it can be really can feel like a bit like a third world battlefield at times, but I have to say, in everything that my family has cared, that my family has had, generally there goes one of the ferrules. The care my family's had generally has been amazingly good, and for which I know I pay, you know, we've paid in taxes all our lives and all the rest of it, but it doesn't stop me being very grateful, because there's no doubt about it that the amount we take from the system in many ways has been more than the sum of money we've put in, you know. And I guess the simplest way of finding that out would be to go and try and get the same treatment over the years in the States or somewhere where you're paying for it at the point of delivery, and we'd soon know quick enough that we were getting a very good deal from our NHS. But anyway, yeah, so my mum is out and home in her nice new light breezy flat, or she's an amazing lady. She's just last year, after a very difficult lifetime of struggle, she and a group of ladies in Enfield in London set up a pioneering co-housing scheme. If you've not heard of something like that before, it's a group of women who decided that they wanted to be kind of in charge of where they lived and who they lived with for the sort of twilight years, if you like, of their lives. And never really been done before in this country, so they set about researching models or places where it has been done, and amazingly, to their credit, after tons of hard work, they finally kind of created this housing, co-housing, cooperative thing. I can't remember how many women were involved, but you know, a majority were homeowners, and there was some social housing aspect of it too. And they pooled their resources and their skills and their advocacy and all of that stuff. And finally, last year, their amazing community was built in North London. And my mum moved into, I guess last year, moved into her beautiful, new, bright and breezy flat just before she discovered she had cancer. And okay, there's a sort of, it's not even a, it sort of looks like a shim, but it isn't. Anyway, so she's you know, kind of, in some ways you could say, oh, what a shame that, you know, just as she'd got to this part in her life with this wonderful place to live, what a tragedy that this ill health came with it. But another way of looking at it is to say, you know, how fantastic that it came about at this time when she's got such a nice place to live and such a stable, such a good, supportive bunch of women around her to support her. So yeah, she's kind of in the best place really she could possibly be, which is amazing. So she's at home recuperating from the surgery, and once she's recovered from that, then it will be on to the chemo part of the treatment. And we've had experience of that because Claire had breast cancer years ago, and so we kind of know what the chemo ritual does, and it's very difficult, but it works, or it can work very well. So you know, she's just fingers crossed that it's not too horrible for her. Look at that shielding. Okay, well, you know, this is already wired up, but I guess I'd want to take the whole thing apart just to get at all of the surfaces. One of the things about doing this is, if you're going to do it, and you like taking things apart anyway, just take the whole thing apart, because once you've done that, you've got access to the whole surface and you can decide what to do with it. And for example, I've got some matte spray. I've got some gloss spray. I could respray this if I wanted to for fun, or I could get some colour and do it a different colour. But obviously it kind of needs to be cleared of all its bits and bobs. And since I'll rewire it anyway, I'll just cut these off and just keep the components where I can find them. Now this is always a difficult one. I don't actually have a tool for this, which is most annoying, so I have to use a slightly not very good system. I keep noting to myself, must get me a tool for this purpose, and this will give me a bite on it, just enough to loosen it off, I believe, and then we can go from there. Just got to be very careful if you don't want to hit the top. It comes off. So everything's pretty much probably never come off before, because it's all coming off it's coming off with no complaints or struggle. I'm going to cut the wires down here near the switching department. Take off these little inside thingies, whatever the word I'm looking for is washers. yeah, so very, very grateful for the treatment that we've had as a family and that my mum's currently getting. So I'm sort of taking it a bit easy myself. I went in for a minor gentleman's session at the hospital. I won't go into gory details, but anyway, it was a day case and all went as planned, and I'm just sort of easing my way back into 2018, which has been kind of quiet anyway. I think, joking aside and without getting political as I did on a post on my Facebook page the other day, without getting too political, I think we're seeing quite a well, I'm experiencing some odd business downturn. I don't know if downturn's the right word. It's quiet at the moment in my world, which I don't mind. It's in a sense that it's come right at the point where there's some family medical stuff to take care of. Okay, I'm just going to cover these up for a minute so they don't bang around too much. But yeah, it's I'm really thinking there's some knock-on effects of the Brexit thingamajig. Okay, so we've got a kind of crack, or some sort of little crack here, and it's probably along a join in the piece of wood that makes up this body, which is, again, judging by the feel of the neck and everything, it's a kind of a basswood feeling thing. But as it stands, if you like this sort of thing, it's absolutely no reason why that won't work and play perfectly well. This is the earth from the bridge, which I'll leave dangling there. But yeah, in terms of straightforward components, I've probably got a couple of. Well, actually, I put the BC Rich back in because that's what comes with it. But we could do with some new pots and possibly even a set of tuners through the sides, which I may have somewhere. But like I say, I want to treat this neck like I'm going to do more with it. So part of that is to strip it down, so I can get rid of the glue line on here. But that won't take too much either. I mean, I could probably get most of the way there with a blade just to begin with. Just to somebody's glued it and then kind of left it where it fell. But, we can take out the sticky up excess and then go and sand it all back, and actually that'll be a completely workable neck, which I could use in all manner of ways. But like I say, there's quite a lot of style options. We could kill off some of the angularity on this thing. Very cool. All right, so that's just a little hello to a couple of old things which are probably more fun than they look. Actually, this one, as I say, with a slight crack here, and this is this is where I could get into trouble as usual. But I've been having a long. No, I haven't. Many people have been having a sort of long-running think and discussion about the issue of neck pocket cracks, and what I'm seeing here is actually quite consistent. There's a cracking here and here, which is quite common, and I can even see that beginning to move. Now I'm just going to put a bit of goo on this to clean it off. The issue of neck pocket cracks, I've commented on it a number of times. I'm not an expert. I don't claim to know. I haven't done clever x-rays or magnetic dye penetration examinations, you name it. I've gone by my usual sort of lived experience meets dubious common sense. Now I say dubious common sense because of many things. Common sense can often be the thing that misleads you. Particularly you think about putting yourself in the room with a magician. Common sense tells you that he can't saw a woman in half, but you look, he's just done it. So common sense sometimes comes to the wrong conclusions. But when it comes to this thing about cracks and neck pockets and stuff, I think it's not a bad place to start. You know, with a smattering of logic when thinking about mechanical forces and so on. So what I've got here, just cleaned up. I'm going to pull this off the. So I don't know how well this shows up, but if I can point at some things. So in our neck pocket here, we've got two things going on. We've got a strange crack that starts here, or an imperfection, and then runs down here, which is probably a crack in the wood. But we've got a crack here, a typical sort of looking thing that looks like a typical neck pocket crack, and it's going from the corner, right in the corner, downwards a little bit. Now, many people would argue that is not in the wood, and that's typical of a Strat style guitar with this, basically this arrangement in the neck pocket. A lot of sellers are always at pains to say this is not structural because they want to sell the guitars. Obviously I understand that. Now but a good example is right here. We've got two more little surface cracks, or three in fact, one there, one there and one there. Now they look no different to the one down the side, and yet when I start to, you may not see it on here, when I start to push this piece of wood, I can see a very small amount of movement, because this is a very relatively thin piece of wood, and you know, it's well, I can see over here that this crack goes into the wood, and I suspect that one does too, and I also suspect that's common in all of them. But there's a huge sort of argument that always rages about whether it does or doesn't, and you know, the idea is a lot of people think hold, and you could well be right, you know, that lacquer on its own will tend to crack if the underlying wood expands or is stressed or whatever. And I guess the question would be is, which is more elastic, the wood or the lacquer? If the lacquer is more brittle than the wood, then you may find that compression of the wood with the neck, a too tight neck for example, being bolted tightly, creates a huge amount of pressure or huge amount of stress in the wood, which could argue the wood sort of bends or flexes, whereas the lacquer has no choice but to crack because it's more brittle. And I can get that, that may well be the case. However, when I look up really close at the cracks, or the cracks in the lacquer, I can trace them down into the wood, certainly on this side. You can see one right there, and I can photograph that up close as a point to make the point. Let's plug this back in. It's running a bit empty. Where's my... Is this actually switched on, or do any of these charging things work anymore? Question. Anyhow, that aside, it's what's true, and I share with both sides of that argument, is that cracking in the neck pocket, whether it's in the wood or purely limited to the so-called brittle lacquer layer, which, you know, kind of suits the seller more than it suits the nervous buyer who doesn't want a split piece of wood. Anyway, either which way, whichever is the true answer, it is very rarely a fatal flaw in any guitar you buy. In other words, they'll carry on playing perfectly well for years. I have had a couple deliberately bought, actually, just to investigate. I've had a couple with kind of really almost splintered neck pockets, so that they were, you know, you could really prise them open, and really all that happened is that there was probably a tiny bit more movement once the whole thing was bolted down than there would be for a similarly bolted guitar, and of course you don't really want that. So, you know, the more the solider the neck pocket is, the better the join you hope will be, which is why you don't want loads of cracks riddling the wood. But they, like I say, they rarely stop the guitar playing or represent a, you know, a game changer, game showstopper. That's the word. Anyway, so there's our body only a few bits to touch up if we had to, and a couple of holes to drill, fill and paint just as a cover up really, but minor things. Okay, so there we go. Oh, and our headstock, which we could also give a little bit of a clean to when we start the process of treating it right. And I think I will pull the frets on this, and it deserves, this deserves jumbo frets because they seem to be close to that to start with. They're not quite jumbo, but quite big. So kind of deserves decent frets. Whereas the EKO is much more of a middle to thin gauge. I prefer taller because it gives me a lot more room to work with getting the frets really level, which obviously is part of my target, trademark target action. You know, I like to get the best possible action out of the thing. Too low and you can do it, but you're kind of on, the onus is on you to get the slots absolutely perfect so that you don't get any uneven frets seated once you do the first fretting. But with a guitar like the EKO or the Echo, it's not actually that difficult because the frets kind of exit out the side, so there's no overhang. You can cut the slot cleanly with a saw. But this I think I will strip back to wood and radius and or clean the radius up and refret. It's been played well. It's got quite a bit of wear down here, but there's nothing about it that says it won't play. Of course, before I invest any time and effort, the most important thing to do is to do the old, is it twisted? Nope. Currently it's a bit back bowed, and the question is, does the truss rod work? And does it both, will it relieve this and let the neck slack off into a curve, and the other way around, will it clamp it up or scrunch it up into a bit of back bow? Well, that's just slightly. Let me get rid of this little paper shim that we've got in here. Again, that would come out with a bit of careful scraping. But we don't want it in there for now. From here on in, and I'll come back to that another time. But yeah, it's oh yeah, that's pretty back bow. I mean, pretty curved, relieved. So it's working, which is good. The interesting bit is if I'm going to pull the frets on it, a tip that somebody pointed out would be to give it some back bow to help the slots give up the frets easily. So if you kind of back bow it, you kind of open up the slots a little bit. So I'm just looking at what we've got. We've got this glue sticking out, but again, it's going to all come undone when I get the sandpaper on it. But it's apart from a little chip on the side, tiny little chip on the side. There's nothing wrong with the repair on that. Pretty well done. So anyway, yeah, I'll heat up my little gun for fun, and off camera I'll pull these frets out and we'll start the game from there. Anyway, I hope that was a diverting thing for Monday, and I'm just waiting on getting a sale for my lovely old, people might be horrified to hear this, my beautiful old Squire Strat. I'm selling it. Two reasons. One is it's that time of year with the tax man and all of that malarkey, but the other reason is I actually don't play it, and I'm not a great fan of keeping things as heirlooms or keepsakes, or even as kind of put them on a wall and go, well, in 20 years time that'll be worth another 500 quid or something. So I've made a decision to let it go, and I'm just negotiating with somebody and it might be sold later on. It might be on its way to Berlin, which I kind of hope it does, because I would like it to be played. And somebody asked me actually yesterday why, saying it's a beauty, and it's one of the earliest JV serial numbers, and it's a 15 ... serial number, which is pretty early. And the question was, why sell it? And the reason is I have my parts caster strap, which is the red one I have refurbed myself, and which features the late Graham's beautiful maple neck. I actually prefer that guitar personally. I prefer that neck by quite a long shot, and I can't pretend otherwise really. And I just keep on using that guitar. So it just seems silly to have a guitar that I know somebody will really enjoy because it's a classic, but which I don't play. I would love to have this thing sitting up like this, but unfortunately it really isn't going to clamp down very well, so I'm going to try it from a slightly different angle. See if I can just get that to stay there. Yeah, so it's hopefully going to a new home, and like I said, it's you just can't. There's something wrong about holding on to a guitar that you don't play, and you're not gonna keep. And just a quick check of this, whether I think this is worth doing a full thing on, because it's actually basically a nice neck. I'm always on the lookout for a nice refurbable neck. In fact I've got a body and stuff that could benefit from this already, and I wouldn't want it to be older worn frets, so I'm going to take these. You could play these these are a bit worn, and somebody's done some bad fret work on these, but I think I'll get rid of them for the fun. Well, anyway, right, I'll catch you later when I'm doing something else with this guitar. What's going on here? Hey, hello folks. Don't quite know where I am with some things. I've got a plan to finish, or to put back together, the BC Rich. That's my intention. And get rid of this because it makes noises. It's really weird. It's been a sunny day here, so I've got a few outdoor things done, including some sanding of this thing. This is a wonderfully thin guitar body, made of 3 pieces of eki. Right now it's sort of still in its rough stages, and it's exactly 30 mils thick, and it's going to stay that way, but it's going to be perfect weight for an SG whilst being incredibly slender. So I'm just going to take it slowly and shape it, which I've started to do. Obviously it's not quite right, so one of the things I get to do is to kind of draw around it again and just make sure that I've got everything kind of cut down to the right levels and stuff, and I can see with the file, blah blah blah. Anyway, it's great fun. Who's shooting stuff at me now? Yes, my father. Right, so I'll put that down here. But the thing oh my gosh, the thing I'm going to do is this poor old BC Rich beastie here, which has sat sort of quietly, dutifully underneath the bench for a few days, or no, a couple of weeks I think, waiting to get done, and nothing's happened to it. I was thinking about putting the whole thing through the buffer, but to be honest, it's completely imperfect anyway, so I really shouldn't spend too much time. I mean, the only way this would be worth doing anything to is if I took it and painted it. some exotic, bizarre colour, but to be fair, it's not a great guitar to begin with. Starts, you know, to me, it's a freebie from Mark. So I just wanted to make it play more than anything else. And I had a go at wiring it up, and something was wrong, and it wouldn't work. So I stripped out the old components and threw them away. Which, oh, sorry, I was going to throw them away because something was wrong with them, or something wasn't working. I can't remember how far I got, so I'd better do a little check now. And it's got small mini pots on. That might be a good opportunity to put some used but larger pots on. Now, I think I checked. I know what happened. I put it together and tested the pickups, and something wasn't working. I can't remember why and what. So let me just test this a second. And if nothing works on here, or if there's something faulty, then I will replace some bits. So what do we have? We had do you have any sound at all? Well, okay, we got neck pickup, volume, tone, and it was the bridge that wasn't working. So, and I tested the bridge pickup, and it was working all right, or it was at least intact. So I don't really know what the answer to this one is. Let's have a look. So we've forgotten what colours is which now. That would have been smart to have written it down. And I have all this, so that we know that the thing works, but we just know once something's not coming out of this switch correctly. So so I guess the challenge for me is, if pickups were registering as active, live, hot, then if something isn't getting through, then pretty much the only way it could be faulty is the fact that it's not coming out of the switch, because there's only one output, and you can hear that the neck pickup is getting through the switch and coming out into the right place. So while I'm at it, let's just have a quick look and see which colour is which while we're here. Don't know how good any of these parts were ever. And the thing that's good on this guitar is the neck, because I've refretted it with a view to using it for something else if this didn't play well at all. But I didn't want to spend loads of time. Okay, I've got blue on the neck, is blue. I probably wrote it somewhere else, but yeah, I don't want to spend years on this guitar if it's it's only a budget thing anyway. So blue is neck, remember that. Blue is neck, and it did work, but it's not. It was reading resistance anyway. But we shall see. So showing us having resistance here. If I want to, I can just left the snippers in the house. Oh, I just wired up, strung an acoustic guitar. So I don't have my little, can't reach with these stupid cutters. They're too big. I could just be patient, I suppose, and wait till the soldering iron's heated up. Anyway, so I'm just going to test this. If this is working, then all I can think of is that the switch is faulty, in which case we'd be advised to replace it. I'm sure I can find an old one from somewhere. Doink. Blue is the colour. So this is registering, wow, 14.5, neck pickup of 14.5, that's quite chunky. resistance of 14.5 thingies. So look, that's telling me I think the switch is probably Duff, which is the original switch. So let's see if I can, let's locate another one first of all. Used switches, I may not be lucky. No, this is all Strat style. Okay, here's an old switch. Now, it's an old one. It came off the BC Rich. Well, that's probably my mistake then. I probably should have just reused this one. Works. It's just soft, whereas this is more direct and positive. But let's just assume that this is not working. So just to get it in the right place, we're going to go on this one, blue neck to the top, neck, blue, and then we're going to go red, bridge, red, and output in the middle. Just so I do that there, bleeping at me. Yeah, got it. Right. I think I would probably rather have the pliers and chop this off with those, but the fine pliers. Ow. Yeah, this is thank you. This is I'm gonna have to clean these wires up and start this again. Anyway, I'll tell you something. I've been on clumsy as anything recently. I don't know why. Sometimes think, have I something gone wrong with me? Am I? And you kind of come up with all kinds of, oh no, I'm suffering from such and such, or I'm losing my faculties, or okay, which way round was that? That was that way and that way. I'm just going to go that way and that way. Those are all clear. I think I'll just try and tidy this up before I put them on. I probably would do well to get my other cutters, because this is a big mess of wire that really needs untangling. And I can't do it with these cutters because they don't get through. Hold on. Okay, so I'm just messing around getting a few wires ready. I've got some cable here which is 2 core and with a shield, and actually I don't really, yeah, well, you know, yeah, nah, I'm kind of using the shield as the ground actually. When, yeah, that'll do. Yeah, actually it's better than just having an ungrounded shield. But anyway, so I'm kind of chopping off one of the cores in this and just using one. Now it's, I suppose it's wasteful, you might say, but I haven't got some other stuff. I don't want to use single wires. I like having it tidily contained. Now what I'm just going to do is I'm going to put these out of the way for a second and just tin up these various things just while I can. I'm going to just replace these with full-size pots and an orange drop cap to give it the best chance. Well, that would be good if I cut the ends off these. Yeah, give it the chance of sounding at least as good as it can do with the pickups that it's got, which arguably might not be that great, but anyway, I just you know, I've given it a good chance with a nice neck, refurbished neck. So from my perspective, I just want it to play half decent, and I'm sure these things didn't ship with unplayable pickups. If I can just make them work, that would be the first hurdle. And this is the jack lead. So I'm sort of going about this the wrong way. A bit more like that would come in handy. Blimey, I do hate these things, as I've probably mentioned a few times before. Anyway, so it's going to be one of my sort of long drawn out, boring chit chat, dilly dallying things, or whatever it is. I can't remember the words now. I'll have to go back and look at Mark's famous t-shirt that I've got somewhere upstairs. Spends hour upon hour dilly-dallying around and stuff. Anyway, so so I've been playing now with a band locally for a few months, and actually enjoying it a lot more than previously. It's kind of the same sort of music with a bit more tempo to it, actually, I would say. And for a number of reasons it kind of suits me better, I think. Okay, so there's my one across the room there. Now I do need to extract some more goodness from these wires here, which probably needs a little piece of wood or something to rest on. Yes, so it's definitely more my styly. That should be all right, that one. It's kind of one of those things that's quite difficult. You know, sometimes you can't explain why something isn't working for you exactly. There'll be lots of different aspects, and then you find another band and it works better. You kind of owe it to yourself to go with that, really. But it's an interesting process for me because I'm not a very confident band player. I mean, you know, I probably underestimate my ability a lot when it comes to playing, but I've always had that feeling that I'd rather underestimate it than overestimate it. I suppose there, you know, end up looking and sounding terrible, looking stupid and sounding terrible, which of course is probably my biggest nightmare. Would definitely rather underestimate than over. But what it means is that at the moment the guitarist in the band carries most of the workload, and I'm glad, because you know, he knows the songs, most of them, better straight off than I do. But I find it's a nice challenge, because when you have two guitarists in a band anyway, for me the big challenge is always how do you find what that song has to offer that isn't just two guitarists playing the same thing, because that's it's like the worst thing you could possibly do. And so at the moment, with the way things are, there are some songs where I think we're in danger of lost any sort of ambidextrous, no, you know, dexterity. Yeah, so at the moment it's there's a few songs that we're still playing the same thing on, or I hang back and don't play anything, so as not to make a mess of it. So it's always an interesting challenge to work out how you're going to add something to it. Some songs you might just find that there is no there is no clear and obvious part for a second guitar. So you know, I quite like that challenge of having to be really inventive and come up with something that works, or that's different, and I'm not good at it yet. I haven't managed it much, so there's a lot to learn in that department. But grunge. Now, I told you I'm ham-fisted at the moment. I might just look at replacing this anyway. Let's just pull these things out. So, just basically going to copy these. Now I need a little bit of, just about enough to get to the switch there. Yeah, one of these then. Yes, anyway, so yeah, we're at that stage where I'm busy looking to try and work out what to play different. I think that on some of them there's a couple of songs where I've sort of I'm doing the lead part on it, which is not like me, but you know, have that great experience when you work out the bit that you could play to make the song work, and you know, call it lead, or I don't know, what do you mean, a melody part of the song or whatever. But really, the one I play on is Dakota by the Stereophonics, and I just absolutely love how it sounds, and it's a very simple lead thing, and I don't mind it being simple. I mean, I've got nothing against it being simple, you know. I don't go, oh, it's not a lead guitar part. It's beautifully simple, but it sounds absolutely great when you get it going right, and you can. I feel like I've got something to say with that bit, so I'm really enjoying playing that. So I'd like to do that on some more parts, and for me that Dakota is a really good example of, you know, it not having to be complex or flash. And James, the other guitarist, is actually very good at soloing, you know, quite fast soloing, and he does some really good stuff. And I don't begrudge him that at all. You know, I mean, I wish I could do some more of that, but in another way I don't, because what I'm really interested in doing is just doing the stuff, simple stuff that works. So I kind of will aim to do more of that. But anyway, he's very good at lead stuff. Anyway, but I'm doing it on a couple, and I just really, it's really nice to have a bit of leeway, freedom to do that. And then there are some songs I just can loosen up a bit on as well. One of the challenging ones that I'm playing the start intro or the lead part on is Johnny Be Good. Oh man, why is this thing so ham-fisted? Which is a really, you know, it's one of the rock greats, isn't it? I find it really daunting just to kick off that song, you know, with it, whatever. And if I overthink it, I can just literally almost not play it. And I've discovered for me that the one way it works for me is to do it with my fingers rather than a pick. So that's how I've kind of got myself over the immediate sort of freak out of playing it, is to go, right, you can play this one with your fingertips, your fingernails or whatever, and I put the pick down and just play it. It's much more fluid to do it like that, and I really get why, you know, some players, including I suppose the great Mark Knopfler, you know, would play so much pickless. Okay, now I'm going to just squeeze the, I will if I find the right pliers, squeeze these two things in a little bit closer, because I don't want them sticking out so far they hit the tunnel. Although this one is kind of by default sticking out quite a long way. Let's see if I can push it in a bit. That's what you get sometimes. I've got hardly anything to hold on to here, which means it all moves whenever you try and do something. Come on, please do your thing. I like that. There's a bit better join. Okay. Yes, so it's been fun, and we've got some more gigs to do. I don't quite know when the next one is, but so that's lined up. There's some playing live lined up, and I'm kind of excited to do it. And the challenge for me is that, being a bit on the sort of nervous side, I tend to back off a bit volume wise and stuff, and so I'm in danger often of disappearing into the background. and being a bit hidden, unheard. So I've got to overcome that and stand out a bit more. But it's the early days, and it's quite difficult. It's surprisingly hard when you start playing with people to find out where you are in the mix, literally. I'd really love to have one of those in-ear monitor sets that we don't have, not least because we play pretty loud and our drummer is an incredibly powerful player. When he gets going, he really does go ballistic. But I would really like some of those headphones to in-ear monitors for the whole lot of us, just to kind of protect our hearing. But I think that's a bit further down the line in terms of ability and earnings and whatever. But something I definitely would like to do. I just have to make sure that when we next play I stand a little bit further away from the crash cymbals, because I found those were deafening me last time. Anyway, this is this old guitar. I'm sort of motivated to just get it playing and get it out of here. You know, because it's a beautiful old 80s horror, but you know, the wood is split, and you know, short of taking it all apart and literally sort of, I can't even grip it with these things, taking it apart and you know, respraying it and fixing the wood, which is completely uneconomical. I can't even reach these things with this soldering iron. So yeah, it's just gonna hopefully just get on and play and make a noise. That's what I want. This thing is gummed up with. See, I can't. Literally, I'm struggling to hold things at the moment. Right, get out of here. Thank you. Right, let's clean out the earth wire. Yeah, so I'm just really enjoying that. So I have once a week at the moment with that band, and then that's interesting. B and N appears to be the wrong way around. Well, it would be if it was that way. I'm doing it that way, so that's the neck. Yeah, so playing once every week or so with that band, and then with some friends just jamming for fun every 2 weeks, which is quite nice as well. Okay, so I'm going to get one of these pots in here in a minute, which is going to be this one, and I really need to get a couple of things on here first. So onto the pot I'm going to put, I can't reach it, it's just galling. So on this pot I'm going to put, what am I going to put? I'm going to put a jumper across to jumper from here, and this is going to go across to the tone pot. Now this also has to come, yeah, so a little one, a short one, has to come off, the switch and join forces with this one. So I'm going to do some more wire cutting. Anyway, yeah, so it's been fun having 2 different groups of people to knock about with, and then I'm also hoping to play with some other friends, probably more melodic stuff and maybe more singing involved, which is quite good. Challenge for me. I like the experience of it. I don't know whether it's any good particularly, but I like to do it because it feels good to sing. There are some songs that seem to work for my voice more than others, and I think I noticed in the past, a long time back, that I felt that some Peter Gabriel songs were good for my range, so I might be focusing on a few of those, and it could be anything. Could play or sing anything that's got a nice tune to it. Sorry, I'm limping a bit at the moment. I've got what is known as gout in my big toe on my right foot, and if anyone's not had it, you probably go, ha ha, old man's disease, ha ha ha, drink too much red wine, eat too much rich food. Neither of which I do really, but apparently it can be somewhat hereditary, so I know my dad has it now and then, and I rarely but sometimes get it. This has been excruciating, and I've not been able to walk properly for about 2 weeks now, which is a bit difficult. Luckily I don't have far to go most of the time to the shed and back, but it is a big inconvenience. It could be worse, but it's yes, it is surprisingly painful. I've got backache most of the time as well, but this has been, I suppose they call it acute, and got to the point I actually couldn't sleep the other night. Spent the whole night awake. I've already tinned those, which is not great. You end up pretty tired the next day. Right, so I'm gonna run these two together into the pot, into the lug. So these are my, this is one goes across. What am I doing? No, come on. That goes to the, yeah, that goes to the, is that the longest one? No, that's the longest one. I've got more wire than is strictly needed. So one of these is going to the one of the little one is going to the switch in a minute, the output of the switch, once I've just got it soldered in here. And just get these two things to behave together at the same time. Yep, so they're going one to the switch and one across to the tone pot. It's a very simple circuit, master volume, master tone. So should just do my bidding, so we can get this thing back together and hopefully get on with doing the bit that really matters, which is the setup of the neck, and get that working, since it's such a nice thing, nicely done neck. Okay, so this one is going that way round, and I'm going, let's try and put that in there. This is the volume pot at the moment, and I'm going to just try and hook this up to, and both of these have got to go across. See, that's not so good. I hate it when I do that. I should have left a bit more room. That's going to go across to there. We'll do them one at a time actually. It's a bit of, it's that pot that's come from somewhere in the past, and it's got absolutely tons of solder all over the top, but you know what, it's ugly as in a mess, but it doesn't matter that much. Nobody's going to be upset that it's got shit loads of solder on it. The thing about these is, if you're going to double back with the earth wire like this, you do need to make sure that you pull it well clear of the live hot lugs, because there's danger. You know, if you're not careful, you could get the two of them touching each other. Come on, just soften up. Come on, Thank you. Right, so we got our two little live wires going into the first lug, which then, and we've got the two earths going to the top of the pot. Now this one then, the output is, let's get this through, this is the output from the volume pot, which is our friend the jack socket. And again we can, I mean sometimes it's probably just easier to come through this way, that's why they do it. Oh Christ. That's why they do it that way with, when they use that nice braided wire. And that way that you kind of stand more chance of keeping the earth away from the light. Have I told you how much I hate these stupid little gripper things? It's bad enough feeling clumsy yourself without your tools letting you down. I keep saying I'm going to try and invent something that does a better job of this. You stay over there out of the way. But I never quite get around to it. Mind you, there are always lots of good little things that need inventing on anything, guitar stuff included. And one of the things I've always said I liked about StewMac in the States is that when it comes to luthier tools, those guys really do invent a tool for everything as and when the opportunity or the need arises, and they're incredibly productive at making up tools. It's good for them. I mean, they, you know, if there can be a tool for it, those guys will make one because they know how to make money. Okay, one small blob of solder on top of this already richly peppered pile of solder. One more to do, and that was for the bridge earth, which is going to go in on top of, and just keep these two out of the way for a minute. It's going to go into the top of that pot, which we can probably drop into place for a second. It gives us some chance of yeah, I can reach it. So let's just put a, oh my foot, let's put a thingy, whatever that's called, you know, the thing and the thing, this little nut and washer. Now have I now got the wrong size? I bet you've got the wrong size nut for this. I've got the wrong size washer, that's for sure. Okay, let's try the right size washer, and let's hope this nut will acquiesce to doing the business. Do you know what? It doesn't. I have to find one that's the right size. Oh, good heavens. This is going to be in there, is it? Right. Go to my AC/DC box. No, my OC/DC box. I'm going to go to nuts. And then try and find something. I reckon that might be appropriate. I just want to get you going, little guitar, and then put you up and give you to someone or sell you for a low price to someone, because you're never going to be beautiful, but you should, with a bit of luck, there's no reason why you shouldn't play like that. Right, let's do you up. My. Yes, speaking of my, we ended up playing that in the band the other day, which is quite funny. Right, I think somebody confessed to liking ABBA, and then that was it. We were off. ABBA-fied. Of course, the amazing thing is to hear that ABBA are, have just finished, I believe they've just finished recording a single, which is just amazing. I mean, what, all those years ago. Right, so that stems, that's to the bridge, right? Yes, no, not the bridge, the switch. This is to the jack thing, that's to the other pot, which is there. And this is to the switch. Right, so really I need to find out which way around this is going to go best of all. It's probably going to go like that. So we have an earth thing here, we have the middle, which is our hot out. Yes, that's right, come on Samuel. Hot out to, straight out to the volume, that's where it goes. It's all very simple really. Oh, my poor toe. Saw off, chop off the excess that we don't need. Now, so what we've got here is we've got basically, we don't have to make a big enough thing. We've got 3 earths that somehow have to come together at this part of the switch. Now, if I put that in there like that, I can take this one out of the way for a minute, because it's just being a bit of a pain. You go there, you go to the other pot, which is this tone circuit, which can go there, and then basically we've got to get, what did we say, blue was the neck, right? So blue's going to come to there, and we want to get, I think I need to extend this, we want to get down to that earth bit. It's almost like it would be better to have a sort of a union box of some sort where all these 3 earths come together before going to that little eyelet on the switch, because it's never gonna fit all 3 of these earths, and it'll just end up being a blob, which is workable, but it's never pretty. So there's a bit more room. So let's go through there with this one. Itself. And neck pickup. Very good. And then we will, this time we will just end up with a bit of a pile of stuff heading for the earth department. I'll get one of them anchored in and we can sort of join the others off there. Let's just get the red, the white, the bridge pickup through this bottom one here while we've still got room to move, and then I might fix the switch in place and then do something with all the earth wires. They don't have to anchor here on the switch, it's not critical, they could earth out somewhere else, but then you have to have some bigger you stretch apart the hot wire, and the earths have to be separate, and then in a way you end up probably just using 2 separate ones for that if you do it that way around. Okay, so just for now, that's my ow, my poor toe. Right, there's my switch. Get on. Now don't tell me this doesn't even fit this one. Come on. Okay, you fit, but you're going to tell me the washer doesn't fit, aren't you? Yes, of course it's not going to fit. A fool would even think such a thing. That's why there's a huge one here that came with it originally. Okay, that wouldn't be the right place, it would be there. Let's put that on there. Okay, and then let's try and get that done up with the most unholy of tools, which I hate using, but now and then you just have to do it, because nothing else will lock them into position. Right, there's my switch in, and there's all me earthies. Right, the first one, I know you can't see a damn thing, but the first one is I'm going to put this is the output earth, so I'm just going to earth that back there. Now I'm going to just leave a little bit of, no, I don't want them to touch. I'm trying to not have it too far out so it connects with anything else. It's always the way with these things, especially I learned the hard way. If you have shielding, you've got to be very careful that you don't end up grounding something out on the shield. And I think I did this a few times before I realised it with you have things like strat wiring earthing out, wondering why, and then discovering that the big deep oak Grigsby type switches were earthing out on top of on the, you know, as they touched as the semi-circular things, and as they went down on the pick guard, the little lugs at the bottom of the switch would ground out, ran the risk of grounding out on the shielding. And of course the lugs on there are hot, so they're live, and so that kind of is not what you want to have happen. So I've got two earths here that need grounding somewhere. So ideally they would be at the back of this switch, except I don't want, in doing so I don't want to sort of force them to run into anything else. So let's see if I join them now with a bit of solder. Like this. And then get rid of some of it, and then we can possibly shove all of this down here now. Try and get a bit of room to do this. Yeah, I need another pair of hands, 12 hours sleep and some beta blockers to do this. Now, the problem with this is access more than anything. I want to just touch that onto there, but oh my foot, every time I move I get this pulsing agony. Let's see if I can just get this to stick there. Come on. Oh, well, that wasn't so cool, was it? What's happened there? It's pushed that one out. Ah. It's just no, I can't even get it to go in the right direction. Can get it to hold like that, possibly. Yeah. Okay. Right, so that's all of that malarkey done. Now I can leave them there. Now this one, this is the tone circuit. That can go back in there. Tone circuit, here we have it. See how long this takes in real life. It's not quick, is it? Tone circuit we have coming on one, and we have our yellow. What is wrong with this rubbish thing? We'll have our capacitor, our handsome orange drop, 223, everything, so it's 500 and 223s, and we'll stick that on there like that, and we'll bend that up out of the way, and we go in through there, and we'll have it sort of like that. I haven't really worked out any way of standing it up so it stays stood up while I do the thing. Hold it. Yeah, right. Oh yeah, maybe. That would be handy, would it not? good. Forgotten this. It's been over a month now since I got this from Mark. So it's well overdue that it should make some noise. Which I'll test in a minute. So logic wise, what I like to do is to, something else, I like to kind of run the earth game through my mind. So what I'll do is we'll hook this up. Actually, can I pull it closer? We'll hook this up. Should it come that way? It probably should come that way. Get through there. Oh God. Can I even see anything? No. Will it go through there? No. Yeah, I'll just put it through here. I'll get this hooked up, and then what I want to do is sort of walk through the logic following ground from the jack socket all the way around to make sure that it has it's earthed everywhere. And it's quite a nice, from my liking, it's quite a nice way of doing it, because the ground is really the critical thing that's easy, and it's very easy to leave off actually and get wrong. Come on, just get the solder hot, please. Or the piece, get the piece hot. Right. So this should be testable. Cut off the excess bits, and then everything should be ready to test, theoretically. Now if this doesn't work now, then I don't know what's wrong, because it's whatever it will be what was wrong the first time round. That should be neck. No, it's not working, is it? Why not? There's something wrong with the pickup. That's what it is. Damn! And yet it's showing resistance. Did I do the bridge pickup resistance? Right, I think we have to accept that this is a duffer and it's not going to work, which means we take the neck was the one that works. We take the bridge, which is the blue, and let's disconnect the bridge. Wait a minute. No, blue. Oh God, I'm like the bloke in Juggernaut. The red. Cut the red wire. No, the blue wire. Cut the red wire. I'm going to cut the blue wire. Red wire, I said. Red wire, cut. Then I'm going to cut it. I'd like to cut it off somewhere where I could actually reach the earth part, but I'm just going to have to snip here and hope for the best. Doesn't want to do it, does it? Well, just about. Right, I'm going to call that bridge pickup a write-off, which is fun because that means we can shove something else in. Who knows what? I can't even remember if I checked the bridge. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Right, red is disconnected. I think I better put that pot in there and nail it down before things go seriously amiss. Right, has that got a... Yes it has, let's take that off. No, let's just check that again for length. Probably just about right. This is the standard size one, so that will do, plus one of that. I thank you. I said I thank you. Get on there. Come on, you don't tell me you... Looks exactly the right type, but it isn't. Okay, we go back to... You see why this thing is starting to get the better of me. It's better play and be fun when it's done. It's going to cost me now a pickup from somewhere. Not sure what I've got. I'll go digging around. Humbuckers, here we come. Spare humbuckers. I have a couple of humbuckers somewhere. A couple Wilkinson probably, but maybe something else. Right, well, honestly, do I know whether this thing is going to show if it's working or not? I don't know, but right now, there's nothing else that I can see that's wrong with it. Oh, can I be bothered? Well, if I don't be bothered, if I do check it out now and it shows up as working, then I won't be able to tell you why the whole thing isn't working, and then maybe I just give up, because there's nothing that complicated about it. Realistically, the switch is... I've wrecked my nails now completely. The switch is simple and shouldn't really be the problem. Right, that's my nail broken. Just for an old PC Rich to make it play. It's just I won't be defeated. I will not be beaten. Right. Failing that, we'll get another one from somewhere. Who knows what? Maybe it will be a... what should we call it? Wilkinson. See, that's showing. It's not possible. Why isn't that? Can't have two switches both broken. It's not showing any. That is, according to this is, well it's got resistance, so that should be working, but for some reason it is notting, and I don't know why. I'm just wondering, can I just, let me just try something while it's out. And this is what these things are really good for, because this, according to this should work. There should be no reason why not. So if I can get it to attach. Red being earth. Yep, come on. Red earth, it's like doing the battery in your car. Red is earth, and yellow is currently live. If I can just get it in there. Okay, so theoretically, here I have the BC Rich, my favourite guitar ever. Somebody calling my thing. Oh yeah, I thought, well, probably walking out of it. Yeah, oh yeah. That's JT telling me some stuff, man. Right, we have all this ready to go. So all we're going to do is just get straight on and levelate those frets. Now, this is a new fret, this is fretting, so I don't expect them to be massively unlevel. It's not a good word. Uneven. But, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. I don't expect them to be massively uneven, but on this, I remember, it's like weeks ago, if not months ago, I do remember the beveling file, the edge beveling file, skipped across the darned new frets and gave me a cut-up, which made an absolute mess of the top of them. So it does need leveling to clear that up and to make it play properly, but more to clean up the top of those frets. So just to I get going with it, with this method, and a quick looky look, and I see what's cutting and what isn't. So we're hitting pretty much here, a bit there, one there, but nothing right in the middle. So it's sort of in the place where that would move me to recalibrate, just to make sure it's I've got the right curve and bear in mind as well, I've got a 24 fret neck going on here, so I'm running at the kind of extreme full length of the truss rod, which is a bit smaller than a standard neck anyway, 22 fret neck, but in this case it's even shorter. Right, I've just made a tiny adjustment so we probably get to these frets a little bit more. Each time I lift this string out, I'm reminded what I don't like about this BC Rich design, and that is of course how sideways that string is trying to go in the nut slot. It's pulling because it's obviously the headstock positions the tuner off to one side, which is a bit horrible in my reckoning, but anyway. So I'm working with 400 grit paper, and what I'm getting to look at here is we've got a high fret there which is taking down nicely, we've got a high fret there which is being attacked well, and a couple here which is also coming down. So it's working in most areas of the neck now, which is good. And now I can just give it a test out. Yeah, that's good. So at this stage every note is playing on the high E, and now what I've got to do is move across. What's going to be a concern in a minute will be whether or not the bends are good. This is quite a flat radius neck, so it shouldn't be a problem, unlike working with Hugh's Red Sun Mustang yesterday, where I was levelling a 9.5 radius, perhaps even fractionally tighter than that actually, but really difficult to get down to a low action and have the bends available. Just the geometry of that setup just doesn't work. You can't do it when you have a very curved radius. You're effectively pushing strings uphill, or pushing a high E, let's say, up a hill as you're doing your bends, and with the result that the anchor point of the strings comes up the hill here, and the anchor point's still down there, even further down bottom of the hill, if you like. And so you can start to imagine that whatever clearance there might have been had it not been so curved is disappeared by that curvature geometry. Nice clear ringing notes. Good, bends are going good. Let's go to the G. So I don't expect this to be too much trouble actually, because I fretted it myself. So I'm off the hope that it's a decent job. There is one that's high and that didn't seat properly or ideally, but that's what the levelling is there to take care of. But the thing that was most annoying with this, which I haven't done since, was the skipping of the file, and it just goes scraping across the top of your newly laid frets, and there's not many worse feelings in the world of guitar luthier-y type stuff when you've put all that effort into putting in a nice new rack of frets, and then this vicious file leaps up and goes skittering across the top of your new frets, taking a great gouging, sort of scraping chunk out of them. And I can see it on some of these frets right now, and I've got to basically ensure that I get down to the point where those scrapes were made, otherwise it's going to feel rough to play. So I've got to kind of keep at it a little bit until I feel like I'm getting there. I can polish a lot of it out with the sandpaper as well, but I'd ideally like to be able to level it out first of all. Let's just have a feel. A little bit up there. This is equipped with 10s at the moment, which is not my normal gauge, so if I appear to be wincing heavily on trying to do bends, that's why. It's quite a difficult thing to do. See? Okay, so I've got to get this end cleaned up, but I also got to get those last little scratches out where the file did its work, damage work I should say. Yeah, nearly there, just a little bit of A little bit of scratchiness there. Nice. Okay, now we're on to the D. It's all going good. So I'm sort of jumping between this guitar tonight. I've got two I want to finish. This guitar and Hughes I think it's an ERG 121 Yamaha. Which had a tremolo bridge that just wouldn't work, and it's the lousiest, thinnest, horriblest little thing I think I've ever seen on any guitar. It's spectacularly crappy, and I don't tend to say that about many things. I'm quite tolerant of lots of so-called poor quality things, because actually most of them work as intended, but this not only didn't work due to something to do with probably where the holes were drilled for the tremolo block screw or tremolo plate screws, but also worsened by the awful light flimsiness of the zinc alloy. I've never seen anything as thin and literally as light to the touch as that. So groovy. It's also very nice. Oh yeah, no, listen, ho, hey, ho. Okay. This is a bit higher on the bass end, I remember that now. And I haven't got any, don't think I've got any more downward adjustment, so may consider a bit later on, once I get this all off, I may put a very small shim to give me a bit of play, or a playing room, a bit of room to play with raising the action. It's not critical, and it's not critical right now to this fret leveling, but it's I have to remember that, because that's, I'll probably put a 0.3 of a millimetre brass shim right at the end, and that will just allow me to lift the bridge off the deck. And there's no reason to have the bridge off the deck, but it gives you a little bit more. If you have the shim in place, you have a bit more downward action if you want to take it that bit lower. And on a guitar like this, somebody may well want to take it that bit lower, since the frets, you know, are going to be very nice and level. Why not indeed? Let's have a look. Yeah, just a couple of little traces of the scratching. We'll try and polish that out. Hurrah! And finally, the low E. I've forgotten what the radius is on this guitar, but it's I think it's about 12, but it's very nice, and it doesn't choke out the notes when you want to bend or anything. So okay, that's good. Keep the same radius. Radius, no, the same relief. Why did they make those words so similar? Radius and relief. Anyway. So what I'll do with this one, as soon as I've done this, I'm going to go straight on to the next stage of this one, which is to remark the frets and reprofile them with the StewMac reprofiling file. Some people call it the crowning file, but I get very pedantic about that, because since you never actually hit the crown of the, what was that? You never actually hit the crown of the file with it. I kind of, oh yeah, strap's falling off. I like to call it the reprofiling file. Okay, that's that bit done. Now, the question is, are we going to put 10s back on this? I think we will, because that's what I've been working with all the time, and I'm sure some heavy rock player who may play this in the future is going to have fingers of steel, unlike me. Now, I did a spray job on the front of this before I got my buffing engine machine, and if I turned back time, I could probably make a much shinier job. But the truth is, the body on this is a bit had it anyway. It's got a split in it, and it's, you know, it's been in the wars a little bit, this guitar. So it was never about making this guitar look new, new. And these things were pretty cheap and cheerful back in their day. So it really isn't about. There's no point trying to tart it up, basically. Let's get rid of these strings once and for all. So yeah, it was really about making the neck play really well, so that, you know, it would be one of those wolf in sheep's clothing sort of things. You know, look like an old beater, but actually play really well. And it's, you know, I had to do that to it because Mark gave it to me, and it was, you know, it had had it, and it was heading for the burner until I intervened. I put loads of time into cleaning it. Sorry, ASS. Now I've been a bit lazy and I haven't chopped some of those things down, strings, so they're kind of sitting there in full, getting in the way of everything. Right. So let's get the strap out of the way for a minute. So you can see it's so-so. We are on the stops here, so I think I have to do this thing, but I'll get me a little bit of a shim first. Shim fast. The new shimmable. So there's copper, that's too big. There's brass, and it's not very long, so I want a long one. So it tips the whole lot out. We've got tin, that's a little lift, but is it? How much is tin? How much is tin these days? What have we got? We've got 2 bits of tin. No, this is brass, but why is it so thick? Don't normally have that. Right, here's one. There you go. And this has got a bit of sticky paper on it, so get that off. Right, so this will this will do. I'm going to have to buy some more because I'm out of brass. I'm out of touch. Thinnest materials I've got here is tin. Next, I think it's about 0.2 mil. Then I've got, actually the thinnest I've got is copper tape, and that's quite good if you want to shim a nut really, really carefully and delicately. So I can shim a nut by just putting on a few layers of copper foil. Then after that I go to tin, which is about 0.2. After that I go to brass, which is about 0.3, which I've got here. And then I go to copper, which I've got 2 sizes, one at 0.7 and one at about 0.9 or something, a chunky one. So it's got a few options, and obviously if I actually ran out at all I could always double up bits of tin or something. This is a bit sticky because it's had some double-sided tape on it, which is quite useful actually. I think, in fact, I just took this off James's PRS the other day because I think I stuck that on there. Yeah, that's right. That's why it's still got paper on it. Yeah, stuck it on their PRS, and then it wasn't quite enough, so he brought it back and we changed it over for a thicker copper one, which did the job. Come on. The only thing with sticky tape and stuff is it doesn't half leave its sticky residue behind. And that sort of makes the surface a little bit uneven unless you're prepared to fingernail it off forever, which I'm just about done. Yuck. Okay. So, right, let's remove our strings got a life of their own. Let's remove the neck. And this little shim then will lift up the top end of the neck fraction, and we'll be able to then lift up the bridge a tiny bit. Thank you. Ooh, sticky stuff from cleaning. Oh, I've already got, right, so I've already got a piece of brass in there, that's cool. Oh, this is the what is this? That is I don't know what the sticky stuff is, but I think it's probably it's glue from this strip on here that's come undone. Ew, glue. Right, so here's a piece. Let's try that again. This brass ain't good enough, so I'm going to replace that with copper now, so it's one step up, and it's the wrong bunch of stuff. I'm in the wrong department. That's in the nuts. Good nuts. Good nuts, good nuts, good nuts, good nuts. Now we've got the copper. We need the thin copper, please. Thank you very much. And what we've got here is 2 bits shoved together. That's no good. Oh, look, I have to tip it all out again. There's the thick copper. Thick copper. Right, that's thin copper, but it's not really long enough. That's thick copper. What's going on? Why can't I find the thin copper? Is this the same as that? Yeah. Stop bleeping me, whoever you are. That's thick. That's brass. And this is a thick piece of brass actually. Let's go with this. I don't know where that came from, but let's go with that. That'll do. It's twice the thickness of the original piece. All of this goes. Well, let's keep the neck bolts in the game, shall we? Let's get all this out of the way. Right. It's rather a lot of bits kicking about, but they are sort of useful. And sometimes when you get really stuck, you can find something in there that will get you out of a mess in a hurry, out of jail. Okay. Let's put a bit of this on here and try and get some of this sticky stuff off. It's come out from underneath this, whatever that was, this little piece of tape that they've originally put in there, so it's a bit yucky. Don't really want to start with that on there. Fine. Begone. Don't fight me anymore. Okay. You have had your day, mate. I just want to get this set up and playing, okay? Oh shit, that wasn't very clever, was it? Go back in, stay in place. Lots of very tall and spiky and a little bit hard to move around. Right, BC Rich, get up there. I would be very happy to see this go to somebody else. Get it out of my house. Not that it's the work of Lucifer himself, but I don't much want to see it after I've done it, finished it. Thank you. Thank you. I thank you. I thank you. Come on. I thank you again. Right, now we have a bit of a lifted up heel. It's actually quite a lot, but it's only twice what it was, so it shouldn't be too much if you know what I'm saying. Get on there. Right, so, okay, that's that bit done. What we also have to do, oh yeah, boring stuff. Let's just flatten off this nut, which is cut down and waiting for its routine shaving down to size. So stand by for a noise and a stink of bone dust. We need to do it, so that's falling apart. cautious here, although I'd much rather take this down much lower. I've got to remember that there's a lot of sideways tension on this headstock, courtesy of this beautiful design. So I think on this one I'm going to leave it, hang back and not take it as low as I would like, because we need the bulk and the strength in that nut to hold off the string. I found that I did that once with an arch top, and I kind of cut it down nice and small, and I thought I was doing really well, and then I put the string in, tuned it up, and it went ding and shot the little tooth off to the side, because the forces are just too great with that one. The force is strong with that one, but he was not a Jedi yet. Anyway, so this shim has really kicked the end of this up quite high, but it's not too high, I promise you. It might look a bit odd. Now we've got jumbos, let's get this bit done, and we can switch back to another guitar and jump around. Now, reprofiling. Aim of this is to round off any frets that have been squared up by the fret leveling process, and the more that has to come off them to level, the flatteneder they will be. And in order to unflatten them, this tool just kind of grinds away the shoulders of the edges of the fret where they stick out, and hopefully the idea is it reverts it to more of an arch form shape, which is what the fret wants to be, and what the fret needs to be in order for the intonation point to remain central in the fret. If you don't do this, then what happens is that intonation point, to call it that, it's not the correct term, but that intonation point wanders a little bit towards the bridge, and therefore the intonation goes skew-whiff. That basically is not where you do want it. Anyway, so just whizzing through this, it's quite a good tool, and it's quite easy and quick to use. You have to sort of develop an eye for where it's cutting and where it needs to cut, and then once we're through with that, that's that done. And the next stage, it was a bit like that one. So what I'll do at this stage, I'll stick with this one for a minute, and I'll do these two of these bits, both these guitars, kind of a bit more off camera-ish, but I'll just start off showing what I do, in case you haven't seen it 600 times on my channel. So we'll look where the strings go. Yeah, they go mighty high, baby. Just as a little tester, if you're wondering where the strings are going to, yeah, they're going to come to there. We're going to bring this up. So right now, that's a touching. Now it's touching that thing, whatever it's called. It's now touching the fretboard, or the ruler's touching the frets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crank up the bridge now, giving us some uppity movement. And now we're going to check it again. I'm just using the AD or something, and we can go up a little bit more. That's quite a big lift given by that piece of brass. That lifts me up to there, which I think is probably about where I want to be for this action. It's quite hard to get that in any place, because, yeah, I'll leave it there for now, but we'll need to tweak it. So that's given me some elevation back on the bridge, which is good because I get to choose how it sits. It's not just totally dictated by us getting as low as we can and then calling it quits. So I'm just going to get this sort of even on both sides, just to kick off with. Right, there we are. Okay, so the next bit in this delicious game is to cover the whole of the neck, and the other one in a minute, this whole of this neck with masking tape, preparatory to giving it a good old sanding down with 3 grades of paper, which will be my traditional familiar 600, 1000 and 1500, followed by a set of micro mesh papers which runs from 1500 through to 12,000. So to do this I'm going to need to cut lots of different thickness bits of paper. Obviously you can see that this is going to eventually ring out, it's going to get narrower, so I have to cut quite a few little custom strands, and I use a board for cutting that, and I'll do that basically off camera, and you'll miraculously, I won't even show you the sanding process because that is boring and aerobic all at the same time. So I will in a moment go off camera and get it done, and I'll come back when I think when this is ready to restring. I'll have cleaned it up a bit, cleaned the frets, put some oil on it, and I'll be ready to restring it when you next see me, and it will be done miraculously. Is this going to drop off? Possibly, but the beauty about this old beast is I can put it there for a minute. Stay. Right, see you in a minute. Oh, and he's back again. We'll just like start, stop. Right, why am I... Yeah, okay, I'm not going to video much of this. The reason I was doing this was just to say I've cut me loads of bits of thinner tape up, but I really am going to stop all of this now and come back to you, like I said before, when it's restrung, the fingerboard's oiled, and we're ready to tweak the action and check the intonation, and we will be home and dry. To see you in a bit. Okay, quickly, just it's late, so I'm just going to check in with you. We have the old Warlock. The old thing, what's it called? Warlock. The hell is it? Warlock. A bronze Warlock thing. Anyway, yeah, we've got it ready. It's done. Bridge is sitting up nicely. Everything's... And actually it's coming in at a very low action, but it is late, so I tell you what, I'm gonna, 1 millimetre on the last fret there. Oh yeah, that's all a bit high on that side, can't be doing with that. 1.5, shocking. Yeah, I'm not gonna take you through any more boring stuff like intonating, because I'll do that another time. Oh, blimey, that's so low, it's unreadable. 1 mil. Very nice. Feels nice. Yeah, I do like it. Look at this old dog. Well, we got it. It's done. I've corrected I've taken some of the relief out of the neck. It was a bit bendy, burbly, all going in the wrong direction. So it's time to put the Warlock thing back on. Bum, 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 bum. It exists here. No idea what sort of screw it came with, but maybe that one would do. Maybe that one would do. Maybe I'll find another one that's a bit bigger. This is a very big pile of leftover stuff. And of course, typical, I can't find one more of the small black ones, except there's one over here. That'll do me just fine. How lucky could you get? I sort of knew there was one there. Right. Yeah, that's very good. I like it. I'm liking it muchly. That can go in the spares box as well. Got these things out of the way. So, intonation wise, it won't be difficult to do, but I may just do that off camera somewhere else because I need to get moved on and finished. So I'm putting the Warlock cover back on because I am done. Down. Oh, typical. Come on, do as you're told. So much fiddly little screws. There we go. Yeah, it's a nice refret. The alignment is perfect, although there is a fair bit of I had to tweak and realign the neck, take the slack the neck bolts off and realign it. But once you get it in where you want it, there's plenty of room to move it, which I always find that a bit crappy about bolt-on necks, which is why on mine I like to make them snug so they don't actually move. You know, we want to get the alignment right from the start, not just, you know, hopefully have some bolts that you can wiggle everything around and then bang it down and hope it stays there, because to me that's not great. But anyway, it seems to work on bolt-on neck guitars. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I'll maybe give it a test play, I mean a demo on the Warlock, but brought back to life. It's going to be fine. Going inside. And finally, gold. Of course I can't, thanks Warlock, I can't actually put it down anywhere sensible. It won't stay on my knee properly. I just want to intonate this when I have a chance. Right, sharp. Oh god, it's the wrong way around. Oh, it's inaccessible. How I hate the tunematic bridges. Let me count the ways. Oh, right, sharp. It's too short. Therefore I have to push this away from. Oh god, oh heavens. That's nigh on impossible. Seriously, how could you make something so crap? Gibson inventors. Tunematic nonsense. I don't think I can even reach it in a minute. I'll try. What did I say? It's sharp. That means it's too short. It means I've got to push it away or pull it towards me. But you know what? How can I do it? Because I can't even reach this stupid thing. Oh, and it is stiff as you can. It's hateful. I can't tell you how much I hate it. Right, I'm gonna do a bunch of these. What an utter beast of a piece of crap to intonate. How in God's name? Right, I need to make that longer, right? Which means I've got to try and get in here and push this away. And it's stiff as you can believe. No, it's going the wrong way. Oh Jesus. Okay, it's going to need to go the other way, right? And we're probably going to run out of... Oh, God. What utter garbage these tunematic bridges are. Seriously? Oh my God, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you, 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 I hate you. Did I say I hate you? Did I mention it? Okay, so that's pretty much on the ball. So what I'll do now, I'll take down, soften off, I'll unwind these springs, and then I'll try to just adjust these other two by pushing them back as well as I can, which is probably not very well given the utter stupidity of this design. Oh, God almighty. I can't even get in there to turn this. Oh, I so hate it. So I'm trying. Can't even turn it round and do it. Man, oh man, what an utterly hateful design. Seriously, seriously. I know I go on about it, but this is about as bad as you can get. If this didn't put you off playing guitar, am I going to smash this guitar to pieces in a second? Maybe. Holy credunza, this is utter garbage. Counterclockwise, please, just remember that bit. Counter stupid clockwise. Oh God. I'm going to run out when we get down to the other side, I'll bet. Well, thankfully the other side's got the things turned around the other way, so we might just get away with that. But I think, see what hellfire, how am I supposed to get in there? Nope, that's given up the ghost, doesn't want to turn. No, it's shimmering little bits of steel off the, or whatever you might call that stuff. Garbage. Some of that. Oh, now I have to do this again because I can't actually put that on the workbench. That was luck. Almost perfect. Listen to the sound of that. Too long. The opposite way now for these three. Where are we going? Too long. Shorten it with a clockwise turn. I hate pneumatic bridges. I hate pneumatic bridges. Now it's scraping, pulling the slot to pieces because it will not stay in one piece. Oh my God, it's such grungy rubbish. Pneumatic bridges. I hate pneumatic bridges. Note, need to do some widening there on that slot. D needs widening, and the A. Finally, get this back out there now, come on, we shall get there. Raise up the humbucker up to the strings to balance that out now, nearly there, a bit more on this side. Done. That's it. Call it quits, it's late. Yeah, it's working. It's done. I hate pneumatic bridges even more. You know that already. I'm going to stash this here for tonight, leaning happily against there. And basically, here's me finished for the night. Okay, thank you for sticking around. Couple of difficult guitars done, but very pleasing. That's a beauty. That one's going to play like a demon. It's going to sound great when I crank it up through the whatever that is rectifier amp. And I'm finished off for tonight. And it's 10:30. It's late, so good night. See you again soon.